Hello and welcome to a special edition Yard Talk. My brother was kind enough to take some time out of the weekend to have a discussion about the trucking industry as a whole, but most importantly, to introduce himself and to explain what role he plays in this industry. So, with that being said, hey brother, introduce yourself and let's find out a little bit more about you.
My name is Jerry Sager. I am Doug LaForce's younger brother, married to his sister Jody. I've been doing 39 years in this industry. I appreciate you having me on your show. I thank you. Starting out, I guess back when it was a chauffeur's license, old school, there was a time in this industry where you learned from the older guys. They didn't have this truck driving school. There was none of that.
Hey, tell us how you actually did your when you were, what was it, Shroom Broom? What was the company? And what they throw you in?
Broom.
There you go. What they throw you into there?
First thing I remember, the funniest is when I started pulling doubles. And when you get on the Ohio Pike with a set of 42-foot steel doubles, going across them scales, you got to keep it at a certain speed. Well, the older drivers at the time thought it would be funny to the toll booth attendant, which was a good friend of theirs because they had been doing it for years. All the bells and whistles went off when I went across the scale, and I'm thinking, can't go any slower than 1-2 mile an hour. So back then you had to turn the whole set around, come back through. After doing this 3 times in a row, and I'm thinking, you know what? There is a game being played. And that's exactly what it was. And I couldn't get even with those guys because they were so, I guess, being young and naive. That's how they broke me in.
Awesome. For those of you that may not know, what Jerry's talking about there is when you get on the turnpike, there's scales, and it weighs you, and that way it determines what your toll is going to be, what classification you are. So what he's talking about there, you're supposed to drive, very slow as he was, and it gives you the correct weight. So that's pretty funny, especially with a set being like he was and having to get that thing and jockey it around like that. Hey, let's go right forward to, can you talk about your current position where you're at, including your training and your mentoring and what you're doing over there?
I've been with the company now, it'll be 20 years, May 12th. The company's been around 100 years. This is their 100-year anniversary. And I still drive, I train, I give safety classes. Just recently trained a driver who's been at driving for 30 years, but he's starting with some new equipment that he's not familiar with. And I just got done signing off on his position Friday. Now he has to go through the safety department and proceed with his duties so that he gets signed off totally on. As a senior driver, and we have a lot of guys that's got many, many years more than I do, you mentor to the younger drivers and up and coming. There's a lot of new guys coming out of driving school, which a lot of places you got to have at least 1 year driving before you can come to work here. And so they are very, very green. And the industry that we're in, which is steel processing and scrap. Very dangerous. So you got to be on your P's and Q's at all times.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because, our safety. I want to do it like a comparison in our safety. As you said, you work in a much dangerous environment. So, I mean, what is your required PPE, yard rules, etc.?
The PPE, the hard hat, safety glasses, the high vis, steel-toed boots. Always wear gloves. I tell all these new drivers coming in and out of the yards, in and out of the steel plants. We go to many locations for a pickup, delivery. You have to know their rules, what they require of you, follow their rules. There are certain classes that you have to take at different plants to even get on their premises. When you're in our yards or our facilities, you got to be your brother's keeper. And what I mean by that is you are looking out for the next guy. And the equipment being moved in and out, they cannot always see you. You cannot always see them. But that is the main priority. You are going home safe. They are going home safe. The gentlemen that I have trained over the years are still with us, several of them. We have guys that are retired that come back, work part-time because they still enjoy doing what they do every day. That in a whole is the first thing you think of when you get to work or on your way to work. The big word I use is control. You stay in control of every aspect that you do from the time you start till the time you leave.
Awesome. All right. Hey, let's dive into the electronic logging, the ELDs, and my understanding is you all use a camera system, which our company's thinking about using a camera system. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the ELD and the current camera system you're using.
The ELD, I believe that has, for the aspect of keeping track more consistent of drivers' activities and locations and your hours of service, by far is the best thing that has come out. As you know, back in the day where you had the paper logs and the days where a lot of people fudged paper logs, and if they say they didn't, that's there, is,
I never ran 2 or 3 log books, never. And I never ran team by myself either. So
no, those
those days. In other words, those days are gone, right?
A lot of guys could take those staples out and put the papers back in just as quick as anybody else. That didn't happen though.
No.
As far as the camera systems, the one that we use is the Samsara, and as far as protecting the driver and the company, hands down is probably one of the best aspects that they've come out with.
You had to use this recently too, didn't you? I mean, it kind of saved your bacon, basically. I mean, I don't know if I'm comfortable, Jerry, on explain, because they're talking about a system with us using like an infrared, not an actual picture. But your version is an actual. You actually see you driving the vehicle, correct?
Yes. It's basically just like a monitor, TV monitor, as far as you sitting there walking up to a camera, and it's picking up your activities as you're driving. It's picking the activities up as the truck proceeds down the road. The incident you're talking about, the cameras weren't even in the truck 1 month, and headed down through the Lachlan Split about 3:45 a.m. A gentleman had fallen asleep behind the wheel. I watched him several times, and when the speed reduced to a point where I thought it was safe to proceed around him, he clearly came over into my vehicle. Thank goodness I kept it under control. He realized what he did, and when we got the vehicles off the side of the road and stuff like that, he had no recollection, didn't understand what he had done. And then when the officer come up and everything was said and done, the camera saved me from explaining everything to him. But when they clearly seen it on the camera and stuff like that, the company that had proceeded into me were held responsible, and fortunately nobody was hurt, and they had used that many times for training afterwards.
Hey, one more question on the camera. Now, you said when the officer came up, so this can be viewed. It's like instantaneous, right? You just how does an officer view this through a cell phone, or how do they go back and view this?
Well, it's not really instantaneous. What it is, it goes back to my company. The supervisor can send it to them as soon as they need it.
Okay, so it's an upload thing.
Right, it's an upload thing,
okay.
And then it's sent. You can actually it is sent to the driver also, and he can review it. And but it can be sent out anywhere via email or whatever aspects they use, and it's quite nice.
Well, how long did it take you to be comfortable knowing that you're on video literally every day? I mean, does that even cross your mind now?
No, at first you sit there and you think, okay, people are watching you. They don't have time to sit there and pay to watch you as an individual. You know, they have so many other drivers or other job things that they have going on in their careers that it picks up your habits. Like, for instance, say, let's go hard braking. It gives you basically a window of how hard you apply your brakes, or if you are basically tailgating or quick lane changes and stuff like that.
So it's all basically designed for safety. It's not it's not designed to like a tattletale.
No.
Like, hey, I'm going to get you every day. It's really to protect the driver. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Hey, let's shift gears and go into you're an avid biker, Harley Davidson, right?
Yes.
And well, my sister and I'm jealous, by the way. They've been to Daytona twice. They went out to Sturgis. They got that had to be a beautiful trip going out west. I'm partial to out west, but could you just explain or talk a little bit about how about, let's say, bike versus big rig?
Well, I don't think a bike's ever beat a big rig anyway. I don't believe so. You know, you with the career that you've had, you know all the blind spots, and you can pick up just about anything anywhere in your mirror if you're turning your head and leaning here or there. But a bike, if he gets in a truck blind spot, it is very hard to see. So my advice always was, I don't hang around trucks. I get around them either quickly, give them all the room that they need. A tire versus a bike, no comparison. It's a bad situation. So for the professional driver, keep an eye on a bike. It's hard to see one bike, a group of bikes. Yes, but I've always stayed away from trucks, and I have cargo on the back of that bike here that I want to protect more than myself. So that's how I ride, and I do the same in the truck. Give all the respect for two wheels versus four wheels.
Awesome. Yeah, great points. Hey, what do you think of the future is of our industry per se? I mean, they're talking about letting younger drivers come in here and go cross country. Good idea, bad idea? What do you think?
I believe they still should leave. I believe the age is 21 or 23 before you can go out of state. I think it's 21 now. Back in the day when you had your chauffeurs, there was no age limit to cross state lines. You started out, hell, we was teenagers, we was kids ourselves. But today, with the traffic is doubled. There's more. Before it used to be, you'd say there's 1 out of every 10 vehicles that is impaired with a drunk driver. Now it's 9 out of 10 are texting or on the phone.
Oh, I agree.
So I'm totally against say the 18-year-olds going from coast to coast. It's just I don't believe the industry is ready for that yet.
Yeah, maturity level. I mean, I'd say there's some. Would you agree that may be mature enough? But
you're
I mean,
very few,
I went in,
but I believe there are a few.
Yeah, I was in the Air Force at 17. So, but I mean, I thought I matured quickly. But I mean, how many is there actually that are mature enough to do this? I mean, that's just something that people can agree with or disagree with. Self-driving trucks. What's your thought on that?
I hope I never see it.
Me too. Me too. Okay, so we kind of touched on old school versus new, and I think that a lot of the safety, the implementation of the electronic logs, as you were saying, and that it's a great tool, and it keeps people honest. There's really no fudge in that, I mean, but how bad you ran the road? I mean, come on. I used to be gone, as you know, weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. Okay, so the downside I see on the electronic logs, especially for guys like running grocery warehouses and appointments, do you think it's pushing them? Because the old rules, if you got tired, you could pull over, take a nap. You could draw a line, take a break. You could actually go off duty. You know what I mean? But now these new rules, you have 11 and 14, man. I mean, and you got to be in that window. Downer or plus?
I believe it's a lot of downer. The 11 and 14 in a 24-hour period, like you said before, you could break it up 5 and 5,
right,
and 5, or you could, you had a 24-hour period that you could break down your driving and rest. Now you have 14 hours from the time you start till the time you finish. And the pressure is, okay, getting from point A to point B in that time period. And you see, and I see in a lot of your drivers, there's a lot of trucks being pulled alongside the road where they got to take a 30-minute window, okay, where they can't get off and exit. There is no place to stop. And so now, that being said, okay, the areas for your safety stop in that 14-hour period have diminished. And the shippers and the receivers, I don't think they've really come to, understand that, this driver has 14 hours for the day. And we're keeping him at a dock, say 2 or 3 hours.
Like Walmart, Target. I mean, I mean, even extend it to 2 or 4 hours. I mean, hey, no big secret. I went to, and I'll say it, Walmart. They had me go to the bullpen, man. I took a load of peanut butter crackers there. I thought they actually unwrapped the package of each cracker. and seen if it had peanut butter in it. I was there like 9 hours.
Did they have Cheese Whiz to go with that?
I can't remember. It wasn't a split load, but that would be good. Cheese Whiz with peanut butter crackers. I love it.
Yeah, that's things are gonna have to change. Hopefully, we see it. I know you're getting close to retirement. I got a few more years, and it's going to be interesting to see the next future.
I agree. Okay, before we get into the retirement, you mentioned retirement, but before we get into that, we've all had them, and if you would like to share, we've all had that old moment. Share one of those, or a funny, or both.
I call them, what the hell was I thinking? No, I believe, let's see, what was it? I tell you, I've had a few of them. And I believe it's where you possibly said, you know what, I could do that for you. I can get that done. And you get about halfway through this run or whatever, and you say to yourself, what was I thinking when I took this? And I hold a lot of oversized when I first started doing this, and scared to death. A lot of oversized up state New York and the city, as they call it. And if anybody has not ever been in the city with an oversized, try it one time.
That's great, isn't it?
Yes.
And they talk funny too.
Oh, yes.
Hey, driver.
I asked that girl at the toll booth, I said, hey, you ought to pay me to come here. She said, if you don't like it, don't come back.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Yeah, hey, funny story, New Jersey Turnpike. I know you've run that. I went to the, what's the roast beef thing? It's not Arby's. What's the other one?
Roy Rogers?
Roy Rogers, that's it. So I went in and got a sandwich, and a coffee, and a small fry. And that lady looked at me with a serious face, and she said, "That's $9.44." I mean, this was years ago. You ever run into that?
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Crazy. They're
Rule of
crazy.
thumb was when I ran Canada, you always had your food before you went into Canada.
No doubt.
Because you did not buy it up there.
No doubt. All right, you got a funny?
Funny. I just trained a guy a few years ago, and he asked me if I was bipolar.
Yep.
And we had been doing the same job for 2 weeks in a row. And he gets out of the truck, and he says, how's that? I said, it hasn't changed in 2 weeks. It's the same thing. He throws his hands up in the air. He says, you're bipolar. I said, no, I'm not bipolar. I said, we've done this day after day after day, and it's the same thing. And for you to ask me that, I said, I lost it. I thought it was funny as hell.
That's hilarious.
But,
okay, now
young man.
On a serious note, what are we going to do when we retire? It's really close, actually.
I'll tell you what. Actually, travel to where you actually see things and get to enjoy them.
I agree. Yeah, because I mean, you 60. Well, let's just say it, between 65, 70, 80 mile an hour. You're seeing things, but you're not enjoying everything you're seeing.
No.
And you don't have time to stop. Because, I mean, I ran west, you ran west, and there's so many things that I would love to stop to see, but you can't do it.
It doesn't, nothing looks good out the glass.
Absolutely. Hey, Jerry, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I tell you what, Doug, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. And it's really been interesting. I hope everybody that's listening to this will enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed doing it. And you're welcome back anytime, man. You want a topic or whatever to discuss at a later date, ring-a-ding, and it'll be done.
Thank you much.
Love you.
Appreciate it. Love you.
Well, I tell you what, time most certainly does fly when you're having a good time. I guess I'm going to wrap this up and call it a show. Hopefully we can do this again. I had other thoughts, maybe interviewing my son, kind of keep it in the family. He drives as well, and I would like to have his input on this as well. I hope you enjoyed the special edition, the weekend special edition. Until next time, be safe.